Hello, everybody, and welcome to another live broadcast from the Life of a Utah Medium. I am your host, Caden. And, guys, what an awesome night it is. For the first time in a little while, it is clear. It's a little bit chilly. But it's a pretty nice night outside. So we decided to do this broadcast from outside. So I am your host, Caden, and I want to introduce you guys to your co-host from now on.
Hello, I'm Tanisha. You've heard me in past podcasts.
And we are outside enjoying the air, enjoying the clear night. It's been pretty nice out here. So, guys, let's update everybody on what's going on in the Life of a Utah Medium. And then once we've finished up with that, we'll cover the events that are coming up. And then we will go ahead and get into our paranormal topic of the evening. So, guys, life right now really hasn't changed. Excuse me. We do have the follow-up surgical visit. That is coming up tomorrow morning, and so we'll let everybody know on the podcast on Friday what the surgeon says. Should be a pretty uneventful appointment. Been pretty good recovery so far. So, but other than that, not really a whole lot has changed. As far as the classes are concerned, we do still have 8 openings. So if you're interested in being a part of that class, reach out to me. Let's get you scheduled and start working on your appointments. And if not, don't be afraid to send somebody my way. If you know of somebody that is trying to work on opening up or kind of wants to learn a little bit more about what abilities they might have. A question I have been asked, let me kind of cover this question for everybody. This is not just a class if you're trying to open up to see spirits. This is also a class if you're an empath trying to understand your abilities. It's also a class if you can't see, but maybe you can hear, or maybe you have dreams. It's a development class, so it is all about helping you learn how to handle your abilities and how to handle what it is that you have. So, if you're interested, if you know somebody, you've had some friends or any, family asking, how do I handle this? Send them our way. It'll be not an issue at all to help anybody who wants to reach out. We've got plenty of room, and it's beneficial for anybody who's interested. So, let's talk events, because we do have a few coming up pretty quickly, and then after those events, then we can jump right into the topic of the night. So, as far as events coming up, guys, we have the first gallery reading session coming up in 2 weeks. That's October 18th. It's a Friday night. It is $40. It will be from 7 to 9 p.m. at Synchronicities in Sandy. If you're interested in that, you need to get a hold of either myself or Esther Graves. I have the link to that posted on my Facebook page, so on Life of a Utah Medium. And Esther, I believe, has it now shared on her page. She's listed as co-host for the event. And so you can find it on her page, and you can find it also on the Synchronicities Facebook page. If you have not paid your $40 before the event, don't panic. It's all right. We will have somebody set up there at the venue so that you can pay for your tickets there, and you should be good to go. That's gonna be a fun night. It's gonna be a night definitely not to miss. So, and then the following night, we have all of the details together finally for the gallery reading session out at Benson Grist Mill. So that will be, I will be out there Friday, February. Wow, we're jumping clear ahead. October 25th. And then the team will again be back out there on the 26th. So the gallery reading session with me is out there on the 25th. That is the week following the gallery reading at Synchronicities. And the tickets for that are, if you are just doing the gallery reading session, it's $25. If you're doing just the investigation, it's $35. And if you're doing them both, they're going to set it up. We kind of been back and forth. It'll be $40 or $45 to do the both of them. So you can find both of those events, the gallery reading with me or the Paranormal 101 and investigation, at Benson Grist Mill on advancedparanormal.com. I will put a link to that on my Facebook page, and I will, once it's been uploaded, should be done tonight. If not, it'll be on there tomorrow. And once I have seen that, then I will post that link on my Life of a Utah Medium page on Facebook. So be looking for that. If you're interested in that event, you do need to purchase those tickets before the event so that we can get a heads up on how many to plan for the reading. But guys, that'll be Benson Grist Mill. That's all I need to say. If you haven't been there, you are missing out. That is a fun location. So come on out, come enjoy, come and have a good time. Get your reading, and then come and mingle with the spirits. It's a good time, guys. Other than that, those are the only events that we have planned thus far. I will be doing another gallery reading session in November with Esther Graves, and again in December. We're going to do them monthly at Synchronicities. So be paying attention to the Facebook links for those dates. And once I have the official dates for November and December, I will let everybody know. And so you can start booking those events and getting your spot reserved. So, yeah, I think that's... I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think that covers as far as all of the events goes. Like I said, I am still doing the class. If you are interested in a just private reading, or if you know anybody that's interested in a private reading, I am still doing 30 and 60-minute sessions, and I have limited spots for those available. So if you're interested, get a hold of me and let's get you scheduled. And we will plan either a 30 or a 60, and then, of course, those sometimes go over, and that's fine. We schedule for whatever you would like, and then we go from there. It just depends on Spirit runs the show. So we like to think that we're in control, but not when you're dealing with the spirit world.
Nope. They know way more than us.
So I think that's everything for the events, guys. So kind of excited. Mm-hmm. We picked a good topic for tonight. Oh, yeah. And there's a very good reason for the choosing of the topic for tonight. So, guys, it's October. It is Halloween season, which means paranormal events, ghost hunts, and TV shows are all prominent. Mm-hmm. All of them. And we have lots of really cool things coming up. So I wanted to kind of throw out a couple that I'm aware of that are coming up. If anybody knows of any other shows or anything like that are coming up, let me know. And we will, share that news with everybody across the board. So one that I'm getting super excited about.
Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus, yeah, that one's a good one too. Hocus Pocus comes on every year, and that's one that it's just
you have to
family tradition. You have to. October 4th, which is this coming Friday night. I believe, Friday night. I had to make sure it was Friday and not Saturday. Chip Coffee, Jason and Grant, the what do they call them? The Spirit Boys. Let's see. There's quite a few members of like TAPS and ghost hunting TV teams that are going to be doing a live TV broadcast, a 3-hour live broadcast from Salem. I'm watching it. Chip Coffey, Amy Bruni, Jason Hawes, Grant Wilson, the Ghost Boys. Quite a few. There's quite a few people heading over that way, which is awesome. It's going to be busy. And Salem, of all places.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I am going to go back to Salem one of these days.
And I am planning on going someday.
It's going to be incredible. And then, I believe we're 8 days out from the return of Ghost Hunters. So that will start, I think it's not this Monday, but the following Monday, that show starts back up. And so the team gets back together. They're not doing big locations at this time. This go around, they're going back to roots. They're going back to residential investigations. So that's going to be super cool to watch. They're going back to what we do this for. They're going back to help families. They're going back to help people who are absolutely terrified to be in their houses. So that's going to be an interesting one to watch. Because, in like public places, they can mess around. Mm-hmm. In a house, you kind of can't. You have to be super serious about it. Yeah. And even in a public place, I mean, you mess around, but you do it still with respect. But like in a house, there is so many like different rules that you should follow to not create a problem. Doing a cleansing on a house is a lot easier than doing a cleansing on a big place. Takes a lot less out of you. And so I thought, let's talk tonight about TV shows. Everybody's got their favorites, and everybody has shows that they absolutely despise.
Like a lot of people say Ghost Adventures
is the stupidest show on the planet.
Yep. We have said that in one of our previous episodes, but
listen,
no.
I have absolutely no disrespect at all for Nick and Aaron. Like, they both are awesome, and they both really try to make this show good. Zach is a princess. Zach is a drama queen on this show. I've never met him in real life, so I can't tell you if that's how he is in real life or if it's just for the show. But he's such a drama queen, and I can't stand it. Like, just investigate the place. Like, Aaron, for good reason, freaks out in every episode. For good reason. Because he gets sent into places by himself every single time. And every single time that he goes off by himself,
something happens.
He gets messed with. Bad. So, like, I kind of get his reasoning for freaking out. Mm-hmm. Zach brings it on himself. In any case, especially if you're going to places that are known to be, like, demonic. Mm-hmm. And you know that they call them, like, Bobby Mackey's. They call the portal to hell. And he went in there and said, "Come get me."
Jeez.
And then got attacked.
Yeah, no.
That was one of the legit shows. That was one of the ones where I was legit like, you got attacked hard. Like, they came after you. Yeah. But you deserved it. Because you went in there, a disrespectful punk, and, like, totally made fun of the place and made fun of them. And
unless you, want something to happen.
Right.
Don't make fun of the spirits. Don't make fun of them even if you do want it. Like, just, even if you don't want activity, don't freaking make fun of them. Like, just don't.
Right. You don't go in and you don't go into some big dude's house and tell him that he's a pile of shit and mess with him.
And not expect him to beat you up.
Right. You don't go stand in his face and taunt him and then expect him not to react. Like, the same goes for a dead person. You don't go in there and talk a whole bunch of smack on him and then expect him to be nice.
No. Just doesn't work that way.
Doesn't happen. So, Ghost Adventures is one of the shows. One show that hasn't been on for a while, at least I haven't seen it in a while, but I've heard that the guys themselves are pretty cool, is the Kling Brothers. So they took it from a totally scientific approach, designed a bunch of tools, went and investigated places using, like, simple science methods. Instead of going out and trying to be big shots and trying to do whatever else. Like, they were just them being cool and trying out different equipment. They had some equipment from, like, Steve Huff, who makes, like, spirit boxes and stuff like that. He gave them some equipment and had them try it out. They, like, did debunking from a whole nother angle, so that was cool to watch. But that show was really interesting because they would show every angle of it. They wouldn't, of course they had to edit the show down a little bit, I'm sure, because, to get some of the stuff they got, you're not going to walk in for a half an hour and get a bunch of stuff and then leave. They had to put a, 6 or 8 hour investigation into a 30-minute show or an hour. But, like, the way that they put it together, you could tell that they were legit.
Yeah.
Here's my rant about Ghost Hunters. When they first started airing, like, don't get me wrong, Jason, Grant, they're all, like, amazing guys. Dave Tango, Bruce, who is Dave Tango's dad, they're all awesome guys. So no disrespect to them whatsoever. The show itself, I think some of the places they went to, they didn't have enough evidence or they didn't have enough things happen. And so they have been called out for faking evidence.
Oh, jeez.
Like, they have been called out for actually, like, having pull strings. And at one point, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Tango. Was talking about walking away from the show and called him out. Called him out live. And was like, no, there's a string right here.
Yeah, no.
And put a whole end to it. Because, they were on TV, so they had to have evidence. And if you go to a place and you don't get any evidence, and you have to do a show about that location, like, it's kind of hard to be like, do a 30-minute show and be like, yeah, well, we didn't really get any evidence, but we were here for 8 hours. Like, here's the reveal. What are you revealing? Well, nothing. Like, you can't make a show like that. So, I mean, some of it I get. Some of it they had to fabricate some stuff, especially if they went to, like, really well-known places and didn't have a whole lot happen, which happens. It does. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, they were young. They were trying to make the show.
Yeah.
And you could tell at the beginning, like, that's really what they were doing. They were trying to make the show. Toward the end, like, toward the last couple of seasons, they were growing up, they were getting it together, they were putting together a really good show. A real show. And they weren't having to fake anything. If they didn't get anything, they just didn't air it. like you would normally do. But I mean, it's a good show. The guys themselves are incredible. The stuff that they do for everybody is incredible. Mm-hmm. If you want to meet the guys, look around at your local paranormal events, because especially on the East Coast, I know they were just in New Hampshire or Vermont, one of the two, for one of the paranormal conferences. If you don't have any in the area, trust me when I say it's worth the trip. The events that get put together are so, it's so cool to see who comes out for the shows. Mm-hmm. So, and some shows they bring out a bunch of celebrities, and some shows they bring out one or two, but either way, the whole event turns out to be awesome. So, if you want to meet some of them, if you have your idols, guys, I talked with Chip Coffey's personal assistant for probably 9 years, 10 years, before I finally met him. Jeez. And it was awesome. And then to have him and Andrea Perrin on the same investigation, like, that was super cool to hang out and listen to them both.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. That
was way fun. The investigation itself, if you were on it, the investigation was a whack. But it was not put together very well, and everybody was everywhere, and it was a mess. But we had a lot of fun talking with the celebrities. We had a lot of fun with the people that came out for the event and hung out, and we had a kind of a fun situation where I can't remember who all was there. I know that it was myself and Tim and Chip and Greta, and then a few random guests were there. And we were all kind of sitting around. We're listening to Chip give advice on how to better do an investigation and how to do better EVP sessions, which was always cool. And while we're sitting there, everybody in the room heard a knock from the back of the room. And we all turned. And then everybody turned back around and looked at Chip. And it's kind of nice not to have all the eyes turn on you for once. But it was kind of funny because Chip looks at me and was like, "Follow your intuition. What do you think?" And I'm like, "Crap. I'm being put on the spot." But he kind of made it for everybody. It wasn't like, "Hayden, what do you think?" Like, he looked directly at me, but then it was just in general. And everybody one at a time gave their thoughts and kind of what they were picking up, their intuition, and then to have him confirm that he felt the same way was awesome. That was one of the best days ever. Like, I was going through a lot of crap right then, and that was awesome. That made it all worth it. So that was a lot of fun. If you want to watch, another one of my favorite celebrities is starting a new show, and it may have already started. I have to look at the dates on it. But there's a couple really cool celebrities that are doing a show called The Holzer Files. And if any of you that are listening right now, anybody that knows me really well knows that I like listening to Dave. Because he is a radio show host, but he's also running his own podcast. He also runs an online radio show, and he still helps out with the live radio show when he's called and asked to help out. So he helps out with Coast to Coast AM, Dave Schrader, if anybody knows the name. He's helped out with Coast to Coast AM. And then he does do, like I said, the podcast every night. And he has his live radio show, Midnight in the Desert, is the radio show. And he is super, super good at what he does. So him and Andrea Holzer are going to get together and start investigating really, really haunted places and cold cases. They're going to start going after some of the cold cases. And so that's going to be a super cool show. If you get a chance to watch it, that one will definitely be good.
I've gotten a lot of people to ask me about other, movies, demonic movies, say, Annabelle, or...
So Annabelle is based on a real story. Mm-hmm. It was definitely Hollywoodized. Hollywood got a hold of the story and made it into a giant film. We were talking about on the last podcast, The Conjuring. Mm-hmm. If you have a chance to watch The Conjuring, do it. It's a good show. It's put together really well. And then go find an event that Andrea Perrin is at and ask her to tell you the real story. Mm-hmm. The way that the movie makes it appear is that it lasted over a year or two. The actual events occurred over 10 plus years. And it got worse and worse and worse over those 10 years. That was one of those cases where Ed and Lorraine Warren helped out on that case. And that, I'm really bummed out that I never got the chance to meet Lorraine Warren. Because everybody that I've talked to, everybody that I've heard from, she was amazing. However, I do know that she continues work from the other side. She's not done.
That's pretty awesome.
She has some stuff to protect, and I know she is doing just that. She was the original owner. Well, she took over the Annabelle doll after that case was done with. And she had her in a glass case, and you could go into her museum and see her in the house.
Nope.
And in The Conjuring, they actually show the room. Like, they show that the room that they show in The Conjuring for the possession room is legit. That was the actual possession room in their home. Where the Annabelle doll is, where the clown doll was, where all of the artifacts and everything else that she'd ever found that was haunted. As soon as they removed that stuff from homes or from buildings or wherever it was, those cases ceased. So they had that room blessed, and then once a month, a priest comes in and does a blessing on the Annabelle doll. Just to keep her at bay.
Yeah.
She still does manipulate. She still can do all of those things. She's just locked up, encased in a glass case.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. The Haunting in Connecticut. Again, real story. I'm actually friends with the guy that went through The Haunting in Connecticut. And again, it's another one of those, watch the movie and then go listen to the real story. Hollywood definitely changed it. But that's one where his dad, or his stepdad, not his dad, but his stepdad, took that and wanted the money from it. And so he has made up such an explicit story about what happened. And it's like a tenth of the real events. He had to make it up and make it all juicy so that Hollywood would buy it. Even though The Conjuring came first. So Hollywood had already sold The Conjuring. And then, in order to sell Haunting in Connecticut, they could have told the real story and it would have been fine. But instead, he spiced it up and threw in a whole bunch of BS. And then sold it to Hollywood. And they still changed it.
Jeez.
So the basis of the story is true. Kind of some of the events are true. Some of the descriptions of like him going into the basement and seeing the mortuary or the morgue in the basement, and like the doctor's room and stuff in there. That's all legitimate. That's all legitimate events. But the rest of the story is bogus. Like, it's just made up. You got to go listen to the real events and the real story. And again, it's another one that took place over years and not weeks or months like they wanted you to believe in the movie.
So my question is, how do you find the real story? Because a lot of maybe articles online or YouTube may change it. And
yeah, that's the problem, is you have to go to the source.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to go to the source on a lot of these is to go to events where they're at. It's hard to get a hold of, like, Andrea Perrin, to ask her about The Conjuring. She probably gets 10 to 20,000 emails a day wanting to ask her about The Conjuring and the real events. And I know the same goes. I know the same goes for the guy that went through The Haunting in Connecticut. He has told some interesting stories about that case.
pretty cool.
And he's shared some of the articles and stuff from him suing his stepdad over the rights to the show because he farced it so bad.
Jeez.
So, yeah, they've gone through litigation after litigation on it trying to sort that out, and it was a complete mess. So, yeah, if you want the real stories, if you want the real information, get a hold of them. I mean, you can try to message them. You may or may not get a response. But the easiest way is to find out where they're going to be and then go participate in that and go see, the actual event. Go see the actual person who went through it. Mm-hmm. It's hard to believe a movie really from Hollywood at all. Just because you never know, You never know how bad they're going to fake it, how bad they're going to mess it up. You don't know how different they're going to make the show. They may give the right stuff, and then again, they may not. I'm going to look right now because I remember the guy's name is Dave as well. But let me see. Let me see if I can find the information for you on the hunting in Connecticut, and you can message him as well. But yeah, he's a really cool guy too, and that story was definitely botched. He went through a lot more than the movie makes you believe. And I mean, you got to remember at the time he was going through cancer treatments for leukemia. And so he was already down and debilitated. And then then they were going through the haunting situation, and they were going through all kinds of stuff. I mean, all kinds of stuff. Let's see if I can find the information for you. So, yeah, while I'm looking on here, you can let's answer more questions. So it's the Campbell family. It was the Campbells that went through. So Billy Campbell is the kid that had cancer and was dealing with all of the events of the haunting in Connecticut house. It was a nightmare.
Yeah.
That is not a situation that you want to be involved in. I can promise you that. So, I mean, and then of course with hunting in Connecticut, as if he didn't make enough money, they went ahead and made Hunting in Connecticut 2. So, yeah, there's some shows that if you want the real story on, that's the problem, is Hollywood gets a hold of them and goes, that's not scary enough. Fans will never believe it. And they throw their spin on it. And then you go back and listen to the real story and you're like, no, that would have been a way better movie. Like, God, that would have been awful. But, it just... Some shows, man. Hollywood gets a hold of all kinds of stuff and twists it. And even some of the live shows. Like, Hollywood will get a hold of them and want them to change it. The producers will go, yeah, we're just not getting enough response out of this. So we need you to fake some stuff. We need you to become possessed. We need you to become attacked. We need you to, show a ghost running across the screen. Well, if I didn't catch a ghost running across the screen, I'm not going to fake that. I can,
How in the world do you fake that?
Oh, it can be done. It can be done. And that's the problem right now with the paranormal world, is there are so many people that have done fake stuff that now you really have to question what you're looking at as far as evidence goes.
I feel like you have to be opened up with your abilities to even know that it's real or not. To be honest.
Yeah, and even then,
it's very questionable.
Even then, you go, ugh. Some of them it's obvious. Some of them you're like, oh yeah, no, that is definitely legit. Mm-hmm. And then some of them are so botched that it's completely obvious. And if you believe that they're real, you're as gullible as the person making it. There are some, there's even some videos on YouTube that if you look on YouTube, a lot of the stuff on there, I have a hard time believing. There are some things we've talked about before about the gurney moving down the hall in Asylum 49, and there's a video on YouTube that shows something similar happened back east, where a gurney moves outside of a hospital wing. As much as you can fake that, the way that it moved, it wouldn't move like that with a string. So that one I believed. That one was legit. There is one that everybody shared for a long time. It went around and around and around. And I'm like, guys, this is fake. There's a kid in a crib, and he, stands up and then levitates out of his crib, and I'm like, no. Nice try, guys. That is fake as fake comes. And they tried to make it real. Like, if you watch the Poltergeist, how they pull the blanket off of the bed, they lifted the kid up in pretty much the same manner. Dark room, so you can't see the string, but you can see the way that his pajamas are folding, and it's not the way that a hand would grab them. It's the way that a string would pull them up. And you're just like, no.
Make it realistic.
Right. If you're going to try, man, make me believe it. Like, make me really look at that a few times and go, no. There's so much that is fake out there. It's unreal. As far as TV shows, let's talk about those a little bit. So, obviously, we've talked about Ghost Hunters. That one is coming back out. That one I'm excited for. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch the guys come back out and really go to the heart of investigating. The Ghost Brothers is another one that Greta, who is Chip's assistant, Greta is the manager over them. And they are awesome guys. Very, very down to earth. And the show, man, they just stick right to investigating and stick right to their cores. They're really, really cool. The only one that I really have a hard time with is Ghost Adventures. As far as like TV shows, besides obviously those ones, but like everybody knows, and if you don't know, you're gonna hear it now. I freaking hate Supernatural. It is just not legit. Like, that is so faked. That is so much Hollywood trying to put their own spin on things, and it's ridiculous.
And if anybody knows me, Supernatural is my most favorite TV show. I even have the anti-possession symbol tattooed.
Hate it. The symbol is fake.
I know, and it
Symbol
breaks my
doesn't
heart
mean...
every time he says this.
Like, that show is so BS. Ghost Whisperer is pretty dang close. Again, Hollywood trying to understand it, but it's pretty stinking close. And then, then there's shows like The Dead Files with Amy Allen. Love that show. I love the idea behind the show. Let me put it that way. I love the idea. The way that some of the rumors, some of the stuff that I've heard about the show and what they've done, what they've put together, I have a really hard time supporting the show. But that's just because, like places like Family Tree Restaurant, where they filmed one way and then aired another. They pieced it together in a different way. And the way that, I don't know about Amy herself, but some of the crew members were like absolutely ignorant, and I hate hearing stuff like that. I love that, like Ghost Adventures. I don't want to say really anything about Zach, but Aaron and Nick for sure are down to earth guys, and everybody that I've heard that's gotten to meet them or see them, those two are really, really cool to talk to, and they'll talk your ear off about paranormal events. They've got some stories. I would love to participate in some of their stories. So, we're coming to the end of the show, but I want to talk a little bit about some plans that we are making. So next summer is going to be really cool. We are planning a once-in-a-lifetime trip for our 1-year anniversary. And we're going to take Tanisha on the road with us.
I am so excited. Road trip.
And we're going to live broadcast from some locations that we go to, if we can, if we have, service. If not, we'll record and air it online. Once we get the service back, we'll just upload it as a podcast. But, so we're looking at going to some really neat places. Mm-hmm. I won't tell you what they are yet, because we need to start securing them and start getting dates planned for sure and all that good jazz. But be looking forward to that. It's going to be really cool.
I I know. I'm looking forward.
I'm super excited. There are some places on our list that we're going to go to that have been on my top 10 list my whole life. And we're going to hit up my number one as long as we get tickets bought in time, which is going to be awesome. Like, I can't even tell you how stoked I am for that. Actually, we're going to hit my top 1 and 2. So,
my top 1 I really hope we go to. Ugh. But
it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. I'm really excited. And I hope that once we get tickets going and kind of get the list together and start paying for our places, then I can start announcing where we're going and when we're going to be there. Mm-hmm. And then you can look forward to those live broadcasts. So that'll be in June. So you got a little time. We're going to have quite a few shows between now and then.
A little less than a year, so.
So I'm going to be, I'm so excited. I can't wait for this to come together.
No, I'm so excited.
So if you have any questions, if there are any shows that you would like to hear, if there's any topics that you would like to hear, send us a message. That's how we put these shows together. Obviously we come up with some pretty good ideas ourselves, but a couple of the shows, as far as the podcasting goes and stuff like that, that's definitely been user requested. So if you are a listener and you have some ideas or you have a topic that you would like to hear more information on, get a hold of me. Let's talk about it. We'll make a show of it and get the word out there for everybody else. The only way that people learn is if you ask questions.
That's true.
So if you have stuff that you want to learn, do not feel dumb. I promise you. There are topics that I talk about with people still after 12 years of doing this, and I learn something new every single time.
And I've asked some pretty... to me, I feel like they're pretty stupid questions, but I've asked Kaden a lot of questions.
They're not stupid, I promise. You may feel stupid for asking, but I promise you a lot of the questions you're going to ask, a lot of other people have had on their minds, and they're just afraid to ask because they don't want to feel stupid.
Exactly.
So... again, guys, thanks so much for listening in. Thanks for all of the support and the love that we get. This show's coming together really nicely, and I'm so excited to see where this goes. We're, obviously, like I said before, we're trying to get some events lined up. We're trying to get some Paracons lined up. So if I get some dates set up in stone, I will let everybody know where I'm going to be and when. And if we're going to broadcast from there or if I'm just going to do kind of a summary podcast after the event, I'll let everybody know what we're going to do. But stay tuned, listen in, shoot us an email if you have any questions. Let me know if you've got any topics, if you want any readings, if you want any events, let me know, and we'll get it all taken care of. It's been great talking to y'all again. We'll talk again next Wednesday, same time, and look forward to Friday's podcast episode over on Anchor. Thanks so much. Have a great night, guys. Bye.